property, but that made it even more exciting. I'll never forget that night as long as I live. We waited till our folks were asleep, then climbed down the drain pipe. We didn't feel like swimming. We were fishing for pollywogs. I thought it was just an old deserted house. We were having lots of fun, but something told me. And then I saw it, there on the 3rd floor. I thought I was seeing things, and I called to my friends. Clay said that nobody lived there. Look, we all knew the legend, but we never believed it.
This is the story of a house, the Keith House, located in Horsham, Pennsylvania, and of the people who once called Graeme Park their home. Built by the first governor of the state, Sir William Keith, it bears his name, yet it was not originally intended to serve as a residence. Transferred through marriage to Dr. Thomas Graeme, distinguished port physician in Philadelphia, the building was transformed into an elegant summer home and the property titled Graeme Park. Perhaps its most remarkable resident was a young woman who inherited the estate from her father, Dr. Graeme. A scholar and authoress, her poetic creations bear the pen name Laura. Hers is a story that, in many respects, challenges the imagination. Her very presence is felt, sometimes seen, even today in Graeme Park. But to understand and appreciate her life, we must return to those days gone by when our little suburban community was nothing more than acres of green grass and tall trees. It was a beautiful summer afternoon, and Dr. Benjamin Rush was being escorted by the stable master, Blunston, to the main house. He was warmly greeted by his hosts, Dr. and Mrs. Thomas Graeme, and two of the Graeme children. A pleasant weekend in the country. There was little Anne, named for her mother, and little Tom, his father's namesake. Almost big enough to go hunting.
I'm almost big enough to go hunting with him.
Dr. Russ enjoyed the opportunity to visit with the Graeme children, all 7 of them. He inquired of the whereabouts of the others.
They're at play now, but they never miss a call to dinner.
Especially Betsy, the youngest. Dr. Graeme explained that several children had come to spend the weekend and were off somewhere, playing.
The children are on some kind of expedition.
Thomas,
It was then that Mrs. Graeme expressed a growing concern about little Betsy's welfare. She begged her husband to join her in a search for the youngest child. Her fears were based on intuition, a feeling that had persisted within her all day.
put my mind at ease.
Dr. Graeme tried to reassure her, but finally agreed to locate Betsy.
Freshen up after your journey.
He entrusted their guests to the older children while he and his wife were gone.
Anne's been concerned about Betsy all day, so we'll join
Little
her
Tom and
in
Anne took Dr. Rush to his rooms to freshen up.
I remember that day as if it were yesterday. Several friends had joined us for the weekend, and we were playing in a grove of trees behind the main house. I was something of a tomboy, and was determined to prove that I could climb a tree as high as Will Franklin, nephew of the statesman Benjamin Franklin.
You're gonna get hurt, Betsy.
Will was a tease, and he taunted me, telling me boys could climb higher than girls.
I'm not afraid. Please, Betsy. No more.
My dearest friend, Eliza Stedman, was most concerned. She and my sister begged me to come down, but I was sure I could match Will at any game. He was so smug,
I'm waiting.
but that didn't deter me. Eliza was somewhat surprised. Then, I'll never forget it. I heard this strange, frightening sound.
I don't see anything.
Eliza had heard nothing at all. Neither had Will seen or heard anything. I was so sure.
I heard.
And then it happened.
Evening of the same day. After a full and pleasant meal, Dr. Graeme and Dr. Russ relaxed with their papers by the fire, while Mrs. Graeme amused the children with a variety of stories. All too soon for the children, however, the evening draws to a close. Little Betsy asked for a story about her grandfather, Sir William Keith. And as expected, Mrs. Graeme agreed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Many years ago, long before you children were born, your grandfather, Sir William Keith, had been appointed provincial governor of the territory by the Penn family. Oh, he cut such a dashing figure. He was the perfect choice for such a position, a true gentleman of quality. We had sailed all the way from England to settle in Pennsylvania. Sir William and your grandmother, Lady Anne Keith, had received 1,200 acres of land, where we are right now. They met with Mr. John Kirk, a mason, to discuss the construction of buildings on the property.
Precisely what are your wishes?
Sir William was very specific. He wanted to build a malt house and a distillery on the acreage. Poor Mr. Kirk. He worried about such extensive construction in an area that was quite removed from the city.
To transport the necessary materials is going to take a lot of...
But Sir William was a planner. He had already arranged for his council to build a new road from here back to Round Meadow Run.
Just from this point to Round Meadow Run.
Mr. Kirk could not believe that Sir William thought in such a masterful fashion. But your grandfather loved his comforts. He was not about to hike to his new estate. He and the builder's materials would arrive by carriage on a new road. Grandfather and Grandmother Keith, and we children, were planning to maintain residence in the city. This was strictly a commercial investment. The plans were certainly not modest.
And the governor would like...
Grandfather William wanted 3 buildings constructed: a distillery, a longhouse, and a malt house. The malt house itself was to be a full 3 stories high. Can you imagine? And of stone construction. When Mr. Kirk tried to point out how costly the work would be, your grandfather flushed with anger. Hang the cost, Kirk, he said. He was the governor of the province of Pennsylvania, and he would jolly well live in the style to which he was accustomed, no matter what. And construction began at once. Grandfather William named the property Fountain Low, and the 3 buildings of stone were completed by Mr. Kirk. It was as the governor intended. The country property served his commercial interests, and he and our family resided in Philadelphia. But then, in the year 1726, all of that changed when he received a letter one afternoon. This was not good news. The Penn family had discharged Grandfather William. Your grandmother tried to comfort Sir William, but he was quite agitated. What's to become of us? He cried out again and again. However, Lady Anne was just as certain, in her own quiet way, that the governor would find a position worthy of his stature. In spite of his own misgivings, your grandfather was reassured by his wife's sincere faith in him. And so Grandfather William moved his family from the city to Fountain Low. Your grandmother and we children loved the country, but Grandfather William was never really satisfied with the arrangement. He journeyed to London and made an effort to develop financial interests abroad.
Unfortunately, was unsuccessful, and he died in England. Shortly after the Grahams were married, they purchased the land from Lady Keith, and Dr. Graeme had the house completely remodeled into their home. Betsy remembered that then her grandmother had died. The girl then revealed the fact that she often dreamed of her grandmother, which came as a surprise to her mother. Betsy then remembered that in one such dream, Lady Anne entered the child's room. As Betsy recalled the incident, her parents were shocked at the details the child recalled. Betsy was convinced her grandmother was trying to tell her something, warn her perhaps. Dr. Graeme interrupted. It was bedtime, and Mrs. Graeme called for their servant, Mrs. Boswick.
Boswick!
to take the children and their young guests up to bed.
We're all made up. Come along.
Before bidding her good nights, Betsy asked her mother if she had ever seen things. The child compared it to dreaming while you are awake. Mrs. Graeme revealed that both she and Lady Anne had experienced sensations. But what was Betsy driving at?
Where did your grandmother? Why do you ask?
It was then that Betsy started to tell what she had seen from the tree that afternoon. But again, her father interrupted. He was certain that Betsy was simply tired and excited, nothing more, and thus sent his little girl off to bed.
Yes, Father. Good night, Mother.
Good night, my sweet.
Good night, Father.
Once more he tried to reassure his wife, but she was not so certain.
I remember that evening. I started for bed, still thinking of what I had seen from the tree. Somewhat uneasily, I stopped by our beloved clock. And Lunston, the stable master, caught me by surprise.
Evening, Miss Betsy.
I know he disliked
Begging
me
your pardon.
as much as I
Graham.
disliked him.
Animals are all bedded down.
He checked with my parents,
Anything else this evening?
then bade them a good night.
Good night.
So
Good night,
mannerly,
Mrs. Graham.
so polite.
Good night.
Even a good night for me. I began to wonder if somehow he was not related to my vision.
Up to bed, Betsy, dear. Yes,
Yes, Mother, I called. And again I started for bed. The house I loved. So many times I had climbed these stairs. So many happy evenings. I had looked forward to Mother or Mrs. Boswick tucking me into my own cozy bed. Tonight, I looked out the landing window. Just to be certain. Searching for... I wasn't sure. Then I continued my ascent. Filled with more devilment. He had been listening to my talk with Mother and pretended to be one of my visions. I was furious.
Oh, the terrible pranks. This is
And that was exactly what Will hoped for.
Dare you?
And he teased me some more. I would have chased him clear to Philadelphia if I had to.
Finish with you that she will be your shroud.
The years passed quickly and uneventfully. Little Betsy grew into a lovely teenage Elizabeth Graeme, and her mischievous childhood playmate became a youthful admirer.
William Franklin and I had been keeping company for several months.
There you go.
In many
Making
ways,
fun of
he
my
was
poem.
still something of a tease. At the time, I was serious about writing and about William. He was quite amorous,
I believe you.
but I often wondered if he was as sincere in his feelings about me
Is that
as I felt toward him.
marriage vow?
I wanted to marry. He said we would when he finished studying law
You
abroad.
know how I feel about you, William.
I was embarrassed by my feelings. But William was so smooth, so polished. He was starting to shower me with compliments that afternoon when Eliza Stedman interrupted. Father had sent her to find William. He wanted to speak to him. William was mildly annoyed, but promised to rejoin us by the pond.
Dr. and Mrs. Graeme had been watching their daughter from the office.
And how to say it. Don't excite yourself.
At the time, Mrs. Graeme was troubled by a persistent cough, but she considered the matter of such little importance that she ignored her poor condition to meet with William Franklin and her husband.
William, I'll be brief and to the point.
Dr. Graeme came right to the subject. Elizabeth. He expressed the mutual concern of his wife, himself, and Franklin's Uncle Benjamin.
I have serious concerns about you and Elizabeth.
William was surprised. The Graemes felt that William was older and much more sophisticated than their youngest daughter. For that reason, they bluntly told William they did not want his relationship with Elizabeth to continue.
Your interests, your style of life are somewhat beyond. We like you.
William not only agreed immediately, he seemed quite grateful, which surprised both Graemes. He then confided that he merely wanted to be friends, but that Elizabeth was the one with the more romantic ideas. That shocked Mrs. Graeme.
Elizabeth has.
But William stated that he would be leaving for England soon, and Elizabeth would no longer bother him. Young Franklin, having proved himself more of a cad than a gentleman, then excused himself to keep an appointment in the city, leaving the Graemes, hoping and praying that their lovely Elizabeth was not really in love with such a heartless egotist. Several days passed, and it was only too apparent that young Elizabeth had interpreted William Franklin's interests as sincere affection. She could not accept the truth about his deceit.
What is it, Eliza?
I was crushed, humiliated. For days I wandered in a dream, unwilling to believe. Eliza brought me a potion Father had left before he went to Philadelphia that morning, and insisted I take it to soothe the headache and sleeplessness that had persisted for days. I relented and drank
Now, why
it.
not come along to bed?
My dear friend then tried to encourage me to retire.
Father won't be home for a while.
Everyone else had gone to bed.
You get some rest, Eliza.
But I
I
simply
do appreciate your
wanted to be alone.
But I'm really feeling
I
bad.
assured her that I would be fine and told her to go along to her room.
No, thank you, Eliza.
She offered to stay,
Go ahead up to your room and rest.
but I wanted
I'll be alone.
solitude. I again told her to go along. I expected to retire shortly. Eliza finally left me to my thoughts. Whether it was the medication, my misery, or the storm brewing outside, I felt rather cold. The room was turning to ice, and my head was spinning. It seemed so strange. Everyone was gone. I was alone, but suddenly I felt the presence of another. I had heard nothing, only the wind outside. It was what I felt within me, there in that room. I was not alone. They were after me again.
June of 1764, Miss Elizabeth Graeme, accompanied by the Reverend Richard Peters of St. Peter's Church in Philadelphia, departed for Europe. The trip was intended as a recuperative journey, and while abroad, she was attended by Dr. Fothergill. Elizabeth's little niece, Anna Young, and her infant brother John were orphaned owing to the death of Elizabeth's older sister Jane, who had married James Young. Then, Mrs. Graeme, never a strong person, was bedridden. Her condition failed to improve. This situation had been carefully omitted from all correspondence with Elizabeth. Mrs. Graeme had been closely attended by Eliza Stedman, Elizabeth's dearest friend.
Mother Graeme dictated as I wrote her last letter to Elizabeth, stating that when Betsy had left the courtyard, something whispered to Mrs. Graeme, "You have taken your last look at her."
Twice before I've had such impressions. They both
I tried to comfort her,
now, Mother,
but she knew the
just
truth
a little more rest.
and made me promise that I would write to Betsy,
You've been a
telling her
comfort to me,
exactly
Eliza.
what her mother's thoughts had
Please,
been.
Write my sweet Betsy exactly what I've said. Of course, Mother Graeme.
Mrs. Graeme died on May 29, 1765. The following day, I wrote to Elizabeth. My heart is too full to say much, but my dear Elizabeth, you were never one moment out of her thoughts.
Elizabeth returned home from Europe and assumed her mother's duties. She was an enchanting hostess, and Graham Park became the scene of numerous social gatherings.
It was December, the beginning of the month. A beautiful party. I recall John and Anna had quietly slipped downstairs to peek at the guests. They tried to convince me they weren't tired.
Can't sleep?
I explained their grandfather wouldn't
Tell me,
approve.
what will your grandfather
With
say?
that, Father arrived and expressed his disapproval.
What's this?
Grandfather,
He
sorry.
seemed angry, but that was his
Why
way.
aren't they in bed?
Always a little gruff.
Nonsense.
In one breath, he threatened to spank their bottoms and then promised them treats if they would hurry on to bed.
Along with treats for boys and girls who obey.
Thank you,
The
Grandfather.
children were never intimidated. As I waved a greeting to our other guests,
Benjamin, so good.
Dr. Rush arrived from Philadelphia. He had been delayed by the snow
Rush, we were
and
concerned
indicated,
about
to my surprise, that he had not made the trip alone.
you. We, Dr. Rush?
Yes.
I shall never forget that first meeting. The first glimpse, in he stepped. Mr. Hugh Fergusson, recently arrived in the colonies. He was totally charming, apologizing first to Father for arriving without an invitation, and then turning in my direction, telling me what a pleasure it was to meet
Thank you,
me.
gentlemen. Do come out.
I was embarrassed,
Have you recently
and
arrived?
then
in
discovered he had
Philadelphia?
recently arrived from Scotland. He looked at me and said that the trip now seemed worthwhile. I wanted to believe, but something inside warned me. But I decided to ignore that warning.
Springtime, 1772. Little John and Anna Young flourish under Elizabeth's guidance and find happiness with children from neighboring country homes. Elizabeth herself has made a discovery. Since their winter meeting, Elizabeth and Hugh Fergusson have seen a great deal of each other and fallen deeply in love.
I'm no longer a child.
I know that.
But Elizabeth's father disapproved.
Why can't I make a plan?
Elizabeth was adamant, believing her father wrong.
Nothing about it.
And unable to understand her feelings, Dr. Graeme was equally firm in his convictions. He did not approve of Hugh Fergusson.
The children will be.
But I don't care. I'm not ashamed.
I don't doubt
He did not doubt his daughter's feelings, but he was unsure of Ferguson's sincerity. Elizabeth was deeply in love. While her father claimed that Hugh Fergusson was not the right man, and that even Dr. Rush shared in that belief, Elizabeth was unmoved.
I do, in spite of Dr.
So Dr. Graeme forbade Elizabeth to see Fergusson and ended the matter. Heartbroken, Elizabeth summoned Eliza and asked her to watch the children while she ran an errand. Eliza, her close and trusted friend, understood and was happy to help. Elizabeth appreciated the gesture and wished aloud that everyone else would understand.
We met in a small grove of trees, not far from the main house, beyond Father's view. It seemed terrible, meeting in secret. Hugh proposed to me. I was torn. How could our marriage solve anything? Hugh was convinced that once we were man and wife, Father would have to recognize our love for each other. I was hesitant, but Hugh insisted he loved me and we must marry. I could not bear the thought of losing Hugh, but I was so unsure. And then, impulsively, I told Hugh that I was expected in Philadelphia that evening to attend a concert. I would agree to become his wife only if we married that evening, right away. Hugh was delighted, but my other condition was that I return home alone and tell Father in my own time. Hugh considered the idea unusual, to say the least, but he agreed and left immediately for the city to make wedding arrangements for us. I was filled with joy, convinced that our marriage would answer all our problems. Like a schoolgirl, I began to practice my new name, my married name. It was then that I felt a strange chill in the air. Hugh was gone, but once more I felt that I was not alone. Who are you? What do you want of me? Not afraid. You don't frighten me.
Miss Elizabeth Graeme and Mr. Hugh Henry Fergusson were united in marriage on April the 21st, 1772, at Old Swedes Church in the city of Philadelphia. In spite of her father's objections, Elizabeth pledged her life and her love to a man she had met only a few months earlier. Elizabeth was convinced that she had done the right thing. Her family's displeasure, her strange visions, all would be a part of the past. A few minutes after the ceremony, they hastened to begin their lives as man and wife. As they left the church, Elizabeth accidentally stumbled on a gravestone. She considered this a bad omen. But her new husband was reassuring, a superstitious little wife whom love would inspire. Hugh Fergusson would remain in Philadelphia. Mrs. Elizabeth Graeme Fergusson would return to Keith Mansion and the task of informing her father of their marriage. But her courage faltered. Weeks became months, and Elizabeth and Hugh lived apart. She could not bring herself to tell her father that she had married a man he detested. Finally, in the late summer, Hugh delivered an ultimatum. Either Elizabeth inform her father, or her husband would come to Graham Park and do it himself. Friday, September 4th, 1772, Dr. Thomas Graeme died in his daughter's arms, never knowing of her marriage to Hugh Fergusson. But life continued for Elizabeth Graeme Fergusson. She and her husband made Graeme Park their home, and amid the comforts of friends and servants, they shared the task of raising little John and Anna Young.
It was early summer. Hugh, the doting uncle, was patching up John after a scuffle with one of the stable boys. This was not the first time John and the Blunston boys had confronted each other. I reminded Hugh that he promised to speak to John about his behavior.
You? Feels much better.
No bandages then. Let's let the air heal it.
Hugh, what's...
After some prodding, Hugh admonished John, telling him it was ungentlemanly to fight with the Blunstons.
The Blunston boys. You are a gentleman.
But John revealed that the stable boys called Hugh a Tory
But he called you
and
a Tory.
refused to take back the
And then he
insult.
wouldn't take it back. Well, you
I tried to make light of the incident, telling the children to ignore such untrue remarks.
Now, please take the baby.
Then I warned John that his overly generous uncle
So much
was going to give him a spanking if there was one more fight.
honey last
Hugh was not exactly convincing as the stern uncle,
Correct. No more fighting.
but he believed the children were basically good and would behave. When they had gone, I expressed my own concerns about the Tory remarks.
John will behave himself.
This was not the first such comment,
Much I can do
yet
about
Hugh
that.
felt he could not stop gossip.
Absolutely rebellious. Or...
Feelings ran hot, and if you weren't openly rebellious, you were considered a traitor. Hugh agreed with the complaints of the colonists, but he wanted to avoid war. We were in the midst of conversation when Mr. Blunston appeared, announcing to Hugh that he had beaten his own sons with a buggy whip as punishment for fighting with our John.
It was hardly necessary.
Hugh told Blunston that he was too severe, but the stable master argued that his boys must learn their place.
It would seem to me...
In anger, I told Mr. Blunston his boys would learn by a better example. Yet with a voice as smooth as melted butter, he confessed he really didn't know where they got some of their ideas. Hugh expressed his own polite disbelief, and Blunston became, for an instant, almost menacing.
Thank you.
I excused Mr. Blunston.
You are excused.
Frankly, I wanted to get rid of him. But Hugh called him back again and told him pointedly not to use the buggy whip again. Blunston agreed to the order.
Since I was a little girl,
I disliked Blunston from the time I was a child and wanted to discharge him. Hugh did not consider the matter that serious, but he worried about the Blunston boys.
Father, you'll make...
I was touched by Hugh's concern for the children and considered my own niece and nephew so lucky to have them. But in his own boyish fashion, Hugh could be a terrible tease.
These were troubled times. Colonists were steeped in resentment against the king. There was talk of war, and there were those unsure of what to do, including Hugh Fergusson.
You must agree.
At the Flowing Bowl Tavern one afternoon, Hugh was discussing the situation with Walter Beecroft,
Everything
a young
reasonable
farmer.
has been tried. The king doesn't wish to hear reason.
Hugh wanted to avoid open rebellion. Beecroft felt it was the only solution.
Be the only way left.
Their discussion was interrupted by George Easton, another farmer, who was, typically, quite drunk. He spoke directly to
You know
Fergusson.
my name, Mr. Easton. I invite you to raise
Easton
your...
ordered him to raise a toast to the independence of the colonies,
You're drunk, Easton.
and then branded Fergusson as a filthy Tory coward.
Filthy Tory coward. Go away, Easton.
Hugh quietly told Easton to leave, and Easton refused. Beecroft rose to separate the two men.
You said said you don't approve of fighting.
He reminded Hugh of his pledge to avoid violence and admonished George Easton that the magistrate had promised to throw away the key if there were one more drunken brawl.
Then who will feed your family?
Once more, Hugh Fergusson narrowly avoided a direct confrontation because of his unpopular beliefs.
Heaven help me. I shall never forget that awful day. Eliza was reading a letter to me from a mutual friend about events occurring in New England. I told her we would be going to war. Soon, we would see a bloodbath. Eliza worried about us. For myself, freedom was worth the struggle. But Hugh had seen battle in Europe. He felt differently about going to war to settle an issue.
As far as I'm concerned.
While we were talking, little Anna came on the run, screaming and crying, pleading for help. The stable boys, both of them, trapped John in the barn. Lunston was drunk. He made no effort to stop the children from beating John. I told Eliza to locate Hugh, while Anna and I headed for the barn. Just as Ella had said, Lunston looking on while his sons pummeled poor little John. I separated the boys as quickly as I possibly could. I screamed at Lunston. How could he allow something like this to happen? His speech was slurred. He was laughing at me. I called him names and berated his drunken condition. Suddenly his attitude started to change. His eyes glazed. He admitted to drinking, but swore he wasn't drunk and resented my calling him names. I was too angry to see his growing resentment. My mind was made up. I told him to pack up his belongings, his children, and get out. He drew himself up and told me he wouldn't leave. He grabbed me and went on about my name-calling. He called Hugh and I Tory traitors. That was too much. I drew back and slapped him. In a rage, he grabbed me again, demanded that I apologize to him. Then little John rushed to my defense, and Blunston grabbed him. I rushed to free the boy, but Blunston struck me, knocking me back. He threatened the boy, then told his sons to bring the whip. He obeyed. He drove me back. I was helpless. John was courageous. He spit right in his eye. He was free for an instant, but now Blunston was furious.
nightmare was over, and Hugh told the Bludston boys to rouse their father and get out. A few days later, Hugh Fergusson packed some personal belongings and prepared himself for a sad goodbye. The situation had reached the point of no return, and he felt it was in his wife's best interest that he leave Graeme Park. This was a decision Elizabeth found hard to accept.
But I don't want you to go.
But Hugh felt he had become a source of embarrassment for her. Elizabeth swore she didn't care about others.
Or say.
But Fergusson was just as certain that his politics would continue to make her an object of scorn in the community. If he left, she could live in peace. To the question of where he would go,
How will you live?
Fergusson revealed that friends had already arranged for a position. Elizabeth was convinced that if Hugh left then, she would never see him again.
Go now.
No matter how tenderly he promised, how sincere his pledge of love, she was certain that no power on earth would ever bring them together again. Hugh Fergusson left and secured a position as Commissioner of Prisoners for King George. Elizabeth remained loyal to the colonies. In spite of her husband's differing viewpoint, Elizabeth held to her own beliefs that the colonies should be independent. Graeme Park was frequently the scene of many colonial activities. General Washington himself was a guest at Keith Mansion, and revolutionary forces frequently camped on the grounds. Elizabeth Graeme Fergusson, always the perfect hostess, frequently entertained the wives and children of men serving in the colonial militia.
And you? How's you been feeling? That's wonderful.
At such gatherings, the talk naturally turned to the men from the area who were engaged in the fighting and missed by their loved ones. Those who came to Graeme Park generally appreciated the hospitality. They knew that Elizabeth herself was loyal to the cause of independence, but they realized she still loved her husband, no matter what his beliefs. But realizing how someone feels and understanding are two different things. Some relationships were very strained. Adults are usually tactful about such things,
Oh, please do.
but children tend to be quite direct. John and Anna Young were occasionally taunted.
Oh, yeah, so what?
In spite of their aunt's reputation, if their uncle was a Tory, then so were they.
Your uncle's a Tory and that makes you what?
John always discussed such matters after the smoke had cleared. He had learned from both his aunt and his uncle to stand up for his beliefs. When the dispute between the colonies and Great Britain broke into a full-scale war, Elizabeth Graeme Fergusson did not limit her activities to mere social gatherings and the billeting of troops. She provided food, articles of clothing, and with her lifelong friend Eliza Stedman, prepared bandages for the wounded. Because of her husband's politics, there had been some talk of Elizabeth being a traitor to the cause, but her friends and her unselfish contributions soon put an end to such gossip. At first, Hugh Fergusson wrote often, but as time progressed, she heard little from her husband. When the tide of battle shifted, he returned to Europe. It was said that he went to Flanders and served as a soldier there.
Miss Graeme, this is a true pleasure. I've heard so much about you.
Thank you, Mr. Fergusson.
you have a pleasant stay, Mr. Fergusson.
Frankly, it had been rather disappointing until now.
The remaining years passed easily. Still a revered member of the community, Elizabeth was sometimes referred to as Lady Fergusson. She never again heard from her beloved husband. She had the comfort of her friend Eliza, but her niece and nephew were gone. The children she had hoped for had never been. Surrounded by friends and neighbors, but in many respects, alone.
Visited me ever since I was a child. And for many, many years, I feared you. All these years, and only now do I finally understand. It has taken me a lifetime. I know who you are. I know why you came. All those times before. Now, I understand. The way you stand, the air of confidence, even in a boy. And you, his mouth, the serious manner so unmistakable. You tried to tell me. Life just... Believe this, if nothing more. Had things been any other way, I would have loved you so. With all my heart.
Elizabeth Graeme Fergusson died on February 23, 1801, at the age of 60 years. At her side, as she had been to Elizabeth's mother, was her companion, Eliza Stedman. As she had requested, Elizabeth was laid to rest by the side of her parents in the enclosure of Christ Church in Philadelphia. Eliza Stedman composed the epitaph for her gravestone. Elizabeth Fergusson, a true sympathizer with the afflicted, daughter of Thomas and Anne Graham, wife of Hugh Henry Fergusson. Eliza caused this stone to be laid and waits with resignation and humble hope for reunion with her friend in a more perfect state of existence. She was gone now, laid to rest, free of earthly cares. Or was that the case? What follows is the beginning of a legend that has continued to the present day, fact or fantasy. You decide whether this is truth or fiction. 1801, early spring. Keith Mansion has been transferred by sale to a Dr. Smith. Eliza Stedman has requested and been permitted to gather a few personal belongings of Elizabeth Graeme Fergusson. Except for herself, the house is empty.